illness is the game. You know, illness is the game. And illness is a strange little word because it describes a lot of different systems in Take Apart. And so, illness. Okay. The difference between infection and viral and self-attack and poisoning and like it's wonderful. You really can't have this at home. None of this, right? And there's a presumption that illness shouldn't happen, which is funny because illness is the game. Illness is the whole game. And there are in other places, certainly there's the stopping and the starting or the new cycling a little bit. But this experience of slow degradation is not something we have otherwise. It requires density. So you're participating in the process of illness every day. You're all dying. Every day you're dying. More and more of you is dying. You are ill. Everyone has illness. Everyone is slowly disintegrating into dust. Wonderful. Wonderful. Some people play a game trying to, fight the game. Oh, I know the game is to disintegrate into dust, but I shall be the one who does not. And that is so cute because you came here to disintegrate into dust. What are you doing? It is often felt as an tension or a conflict of being to resist illness or degradation. That's the whole point. You can't degrade at home. You can't degrade at home. You're just constant, boring. You're just constant and full and one with everything. That's why you come here to play the game. So creatures like bees that are certainly of a higher vibration, certainly more, okay. Some creatures are less dense than others. And bees create less density. And so to degrade is not that big a deal. Humans are extremely dense and it's a big deal, It's a big deal to get ill and to die is such a big deal. For the animals, it's sort of less of a big deal because they don't fight it and they're not expecting it not to happen. They don't feel offended by the natural process. It's so cute. It's so cute. Oh. Aw. Now, vital force is cultivatable, but it doesn't stop the degradation, of course, but it can infuse more vitality into the process of degradation, which is fun. That's a fun game. I'm not sure that really answered your curiosity because your curiosity is deep and your role is a balance scientist. So you are constantly finding the next balance point. When you are balancing on one foot, it's not like you just find your balance point and then you're perfectly still. And so finding balance in this world is not about finding the absolute perfect balance and then never changing. It is a constant balance, rebalance, constant balance, rebalance, rebalance, constant. Why? Because there are all these processes and games afoot that you don't control and that will affect your balance in every direction. So we can't teach you the perfect balance point. And there's no one book or scripture or instruction manual that says just eat olives and never eat fish and you will always be in balance. All of those rules are complete silly pants. Instead, it's a constant readjustment. And so what do we teach? We teach you how to readjust. We give you tools to constantly adjust and to use the different forces that are available to you now to adjust and readjust and find balance. And those keep changing as the times cycle through and the new people are born. Yes?
What are the rules of the new game?
Well, which one?
Maybe rules is not the best word. There's been a lot of reference to the world having evolved and we're
I see. Game. Yes.
And what is the game board? What?
Well, we're in a transition phase right now. If you're talking about the broad sweep of the new game that I'm trying to point to, you know, I understanding what I just said about balance being a constant reorganization. That's a game. You know, that game, the stacking Jenga. If you're playing Jenga on a bus, it's a different game. If you're playing Jenga on a boat, it's a different game. If you're playing Jenga outside in the wind, it's a different game. So there's what's the new game, but then recognize that based on everything else that's happening, the rules or the guidelines or the instruction manual will be a little different. So there is no one instruction manual. Here, this will always work. No. But there is, you know, we've tried to describe the new game as a new grid, as a new form of connection, as a new shape of connection. So if you look at the ancient grids that are now revealing in the shapes on the ground and the locations of the pyramids and other points of interest, that as you see them, you recognize, whoa, they reflect the stars, always the stars. They always reflect the stars. Huh. Well, that's a big hint that one of the older games before this game was a game of connectedness between stars and consciousness here, between the above and the below. That's interesting, but gosh, that seems a little limited still. Now, the grid that you're being invited to play on is more like the mycelial web. It is a complex pattern of interconnected points, and it's more complex than the stars you see now. And of course, the stars you see now are different than the stars they saw then, but still similar. And the mycelial web is much more like the web of nerves in your body. And so you're being called to awaken this body as more than just a body, to awaken it as a map of that is reflected above and below, and to be embodied as you are running the energies of the below and the above to utilize the body in a higher way. It's not just for picking up heavy things or having sexual relations on the physical. There's more. There's more here. Your nervous system, your emotional system, and your web of interconnected hearts and wombs is coming back online. So back in the time when the many of the temples were made during this time where we were in a more feminine, interconnected, not feminine, it's just, they think, oh, that's the Amazons. No, it's not just a bunch of women in charge. It's not what we mean. More quote unquote feminine means more based on interconnectedness, run more on compassion-based tracking. And we're not going back to that. We are using what we've learned during this linear masculine build of technology, and we are elevating it. And some of it will have to die because some of it is not elevatable. You'll notice a mix and mingle that right now is hard to conceive of and hard to put to words because you don't have the tech that's coming. Trust the movement towards compassion. The evolutionary movement towards compassion, towards empathetic tracking, towards even those who don't wish it at a certain point will be deeply empathic. And many of those who you would think, oh, they will never be that, will be sick because the new game that's already afoot, the new grid, you might say, is just inhospitable to them. And so the more they flame and fire and bluster, the sicker they get, which is great because it is direct feedback towards a new way of operating. Now we are in a process. This is not an overnight thing. The process is part of the most fun part that you came for. And your grandchildren may be the ones who see the land of this spirit, the landing of this particular evolution in a wider way. But you can see it landing, and that's why we're teaching you, is because you can see it landing and utilize these realities right now already. You create them in circles, in communities, and you can use them together to create miraculous things. Miraculous meaning not previously known to be possible. That's why you feel called to community. That's why you feel called to ceremony. That's why you feel called to keep developing your lexicon together, your practices together, because this is it. Like the game board is ready. It's just that the environment and the cultural collective is definitely not mostly knowing how to use it yet. But you came to be someone who uses it a little early and kind of baffle the people in your life who don't get it. Yeah. Wow. How does she do it? How does that work? Why does she seem so calm? How is it that I can't shake her into spinning in the mind with me? She laughs. Does she laughing at me? She's not laughing at me. She's genuinely, she finds me dear. I don't understand. But I want that. I want that. What's that? I want that. Yes, she's created things that nourish her deeply. I want that. I want that. I want that. And so that's part of the role that you're likely to be here to play, because you're here. That's the game within the game that we can create. And when you speak of illness and you say, oh, I'd like to not have the illness so much, please. Well, yeah, you can do that. You can create more energy inside of the bubbles that you hold and create to support not so much the illness, or to support a different way of aging or disintegrating. You're going to disintegrate one way or another, but there's different pathways through. And it's lovely to have a path that is kind of early use of the new ways of using ancient technology. And when you have community, when you are a solo practitioner, it is lonely. And because the new grid is mycelial, connective, some of the things you could do before alone, you can't now do alone. You just, like, not can't as in it's not possible, but like can't and like, no, it's wrong. It's not the right one. And so many of those solo, hermity, brilliant ones are now being teased out of their caves to sit in circle. And I mean circle, not just pairs, but like circles. There's a reflection when you have a pair, which is lovely, as you know, from being paired, together with people. It's lovely. But for miracles, it's especially in this crazy weather, in this crazy mental, emotional weather, you want a circle, you want a sphere, you want a diverse circle of people who treat each other as different equals, equal and different. And that's more than a mirror, that's a vessel. And in this kind of weather, you need a vessel. Just like you wouldn't go out in a stormy sea in a tiny little raft. You would get on a boat with a bunch of other folks who know how to sail. And you would do teamwork, and that's important now for the next few years, especially. If you want to accelerate and do the magical things, even while other people are playing a different game. When you are sleeping, you are sort of plugged back into the mainframe. And we get to upload and converse and bring some of your data, your findings, your experience up into the wholeness. It helps us strategize. We get to nourish you from your true source. We get to just enjoy each other's company. We get to help your mind expand its own web to hopefully keep up at some level with the planet. There's a lot of things that happen when you're sleeping. Your mind has nothing to do with them. Just please give us enough time. You know, it's nice to have your body in a good, healthy state so that we can get it done, what we want to get done there. And, you know, I'm speaking as if we're two separate things because that's the only way it works to have you understand.